This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Harry's. Harry's sends you high-quality shaving equipment directly to your door, and it is exactly what you need for those last-minute holiday gifts for shaven or intending to be shaven men and women in your life. If you go to harrys.com and use the promo code THUMBS at checkout, you will get $5 off your first order. That is harrys.com with the promo code THUMBS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it is. Do you know what it is, Chris?
Sure do. This is Idle Thumbs. Wait, you have to say the date.
I was checking, just actually checking.
Oh, I think it's Idle Thumbs 293, right?
Okay, it is. So I'm going to play the thing now, then we're going to do the stuff.
We're getting close to me having to get a new theme.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's
all right.
Horrible.
It's December 15th, 2016.
This is Idle Thumbs 293. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Hey.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I would like to wish you both warmest greetings.
Oh, thank you. Somehow that doesn't feel like a very sincere, warmest greeting, Chris. I wonder why. I wonder why it doesn't have the genuine feeling of like a.
I was going to say, I have in my hand, podcast listeners can't see this, but I have a McDonald's McCafe warmest greetings coffee cup, which I've been obsessed with for the last day. Have you seen this, Nick?
Nick does not know what this is.
Okay, Nick has not seen this yet. There's a really great series of images that's been going around. So you see what this is, right, Nick? What this warmest greetings?
Yeah,
it's a picture of like little mittens. So
yeah.
Someone has found out on the internet that if you draw,
oh god,
you're gonna do it.
Is this you are Mr. Gay all over again? What's going on?
Amazing things are revealed. Hold on, I have to think about anatomically how this works out. So I'm going to do this here for my
Chris's
podcast partners.
Very carefully etching into the side of this coffee cup.
He's drawing some details. I know what they are. We all know what they are. Nick has no idea what they are.
I have no idea what they are. I'm very excited.
Have you practiced this, Chris? Is this live. Is this like a cooking show where you're like going to pull one out of the oven here that has the drawing on it?
No, this is happening as we speak. I've never done this before.
I can't imagine what this could be. It's just a pair of mittens.
Oh, you can't, Nick? Is that all it is?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Is that what this is?
Oh, of course. Oh, good. Wonderful.
So, Chris, you have to describe what this is now because I refuse.
So this is
I'll take that.
If you there's a McDonald's cup with coffee on it that says warmest greetings, and it has two big white mittens sort of crossing each other. And this is hard to explain in audio, but if you take the thumbs and turn the thumbs into wrists and then draw fingers extending out from the wrists, it ends up looking like two hands spreading open two big old butt cheeks.
You're very, very pleased by this, Chris. You're
too
pleased.
Okay. I laughed for like a minute straight when I first saw this yesterday, just the image, to the point that it was, and I know, Jake, you had the same experience. When you see it this way for the first time, it's really hard
see the mittens.
to even understand what it was originally supposed to be. It looks so fucked up. And then last night, I saw an animated GIF of someone who did the same thing, but they poked the hole where the butthole is, so the brown coffee was just spewing out. I swear to God, I laughed for 3 minutes straight. My wife can attest to this. I couldn't believe it.
If anyone was wondering, we've sort of been slowly tracking our descent into becoming a just shitty morning show. We have achieved. We did it.
Yeah.
Incisive video game content? Fuck that. What if you punch a pencil through a McDonald's cup and then it looks like a butt pooping?
Right. Yeah. And hopefully our mid-roll content is just an ad for McDonald's now. And then we would truly be a morning show.
Warmest greetings.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh my God. I ate McDonald's for breakfast this morning. You know what's so funny about that? What do you think I got this cup?
This is
I think I stole this cup?
Nick, you're right. This is actually sponsored content. Just you and I aren't in on it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Chris has signed his own brand deal.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, I sometimes just get a cup of coffee.
The funny thing is, I just love the sausage biscuit in the morning.
I get a cup of coffee from McDonald's often on the mornings we're doing the podcast because it is the only place between my apartment and the train, the subway that takes credit cards, and I can use the credit card for like a $1.07 transaction or whatever, and they don't care because they're just a big chain. Yeah. So I just go in there and just get that, and I totally didn't remember until after I already did it this morning that it was the fucking Warmest Greetings cup. I didn't even plan this.
Yeah.
And then I got here and I realized.
You realized how happy you were with everything in your life.
I was, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway, if you're new to Idle Thumbs, welcome. Warmest greetings. I'm sure you've heard about our incisive, intelligent video game commentary on coffee cup buttholes.
Yeah, what a bad life.
Yeah, sorry. All right, well, hey, guys.
I'm sorry, I'm just staring at this cup now. I can't look away.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
It really is amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
You did a good job with that, by the way.
That's why I was asking if you practiced.
I definitely didn't. Yeah. Shocking, though. I know it is. I have not practiced the McDonald's mitten butthole hands
challenge
technique. Right. Take the McDonald's Warmest Greetings challenge to raise awareness of cup buttholes.
In related news, though, in many years in the past, the Idle Thumbs has done an end-of-year Game of the Year write-up at GotY.cx. We are not doing one this year, unfortunately. However...
Oh, we should, though.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, let's do it, because I want to write about Hitman.
Twist ending, GotY.cx, coming soon, Warmest Greetings.
Nick Brecken can write about Dark Souls.
Sure.
I feel this was actually a really good year for games, I think. I think this year was kind of an amazing year for games, actually.
I guess it was.
Well, don't you think?
It was a good year.
I mean, even there was a lot of stuff that I didn't even play that I know, like Stardew Valley, I didn't actually even play it.
Right.
But I know that to a lot of people that was, and I suspect had I played it, I would have thought it was great.
Nick had some feelings.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dark feelings.
Sure, fair enough. But I would say that game...
This was a year of games that are something in you. This is a year of games that told us about ourselves, I would say.
Oh, yeah. No, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
I think this was the year in the world that taught us all way too much about ourselves, in fact. Yes. I would say 2016 across all axes.
In the case of gaming, it was really nice that a huge collection of some of the best games of this year in this entertainment medium shed light on ourselves and who we are in the sphere of world events. Less thrilling revelation, perhaps.
Yeah, we learned a lot. I think a lot more than any of us wanted to know.
Coffee
about
cups
ourselves
taught us about ourselves.
Yeah,
yeah. This really is the actual, like, this sums it all up. Warmest greetings. Everyone's welcome here. You know what? It's just a big old butthole spewing brown poo all over you.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of those mugs that you can get where when the coffee heats up the outside of the mug, it changes. So I feel like that the next version of this should actually just slowly reveal.
For like a decade, I had one of those for American McGee's Grimm. Do you guys remember when American McGee was making all those like episodic fairy tale games?
When he went to China and
I think he's still there, just running an outsourcing house, basically.
Weird.
The same company that he's had for 8 years now. But I finally in the last time we moved, I finally just didn't take it with me.
You left it in the apartment?
Yeah.
I hope you did. I hope that just in the back of the cupboard, when the new neighbors moved in and they're like...
Well, my old roommate still lives there.
Oh, yeah, so drinking out of that spicy horse mug.
For a long time. I don't have any cool ones.
No.
I don't have any
I have a Mr. Rogers.
That's pretty good.
And he wears a suit.
I liked
and then
that.
when it fills up, he wears a sweater. It's really good.
Oh, what? That's
really
so good.
That is really good. I have to say, I liked that 20 seconds when we were about to maybe turn this into like a formative Games of the Year episode. No. Talk about those butt mugs.
I can't remember the beginning of this year anymore. Like...
This was so long ago.
It began with
it was a lifetime ago.
Early releases of this year include The Witness.
Oh my god, that feels like just a different era.
That's so long ago.
That's bizarre.
There was some other stuff at the beginning of this year too. This year
have you noticed The Witness hasn't even been showing up on a lot of Game of the Year
It's
awards?
been in a few, but
in part. So in part that game's not for everyone, but also in part I suspect that it feels like it came out a million years ago at this point.
I can't even. I mean, yeah.
Well, The Witness was like January 18th, then Firewatch was February 9th. I remember that we were right next to The Witness when we were
shooting. Yeah, that's true.
XCOM 2 came out around then, which I never even really played
I didn't
much
really play
of.
very much either. I played it a little bit. Man.
This year also, it had Deus Ex 4, it had Doom. It had
It
Hitman.
had Doom, Hitman, Civ 6, which I also didn't play as much of as I would have imagined. Yeah.
Super Hot, real Super Hot came out this year.
Oh, Super Hot was great.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
More Kentucky Route Zero came out.
No Man's Sky came out.
Loved.
Far Cry Primal came out.
The Last Guardian. You know what has been annoying me about?
Oh, Oxenfree, which I don't know if any of us played. Inside, obviously, also. This is a year of
it's been
outrageous shit.
Yeah. I'm annoyed by how many Game Awards take place in December or even November. I find it really obnoxious because now The Last Guardian is
go on the
out,
Oscars
and
schedule?
I haven't played The Last Guardian yet, so I can't myself offer. But like some people who I'm good friends with have said it's
they're like super struck by that game.
Absolutely one of the best things they've played in a long time, and I find it really annoying that it's the Video Game Awards are already over. Like there's a bunch of awards that are just either that game was so recent that it technically fell within their purview, but is just getting ignored as a result. And I'm not like in particular saying it's this specific game. It's a crime that it isn't getting as many awards because again I haven't played it. But just in principle, it really bothers me that it's like just fucking hold your horses for like a month. Are you serious?
Well,
like,
that's why the GDC awards are nice. It feels like that's the right amount of
BAFTAs
time.
also run in.
Oh yeah, the BAFTAs.
The BAFTA Game Awards are early the year after.
Yeah,
I mean I think that's true of DICE too. The Game Awards and BAFTAs.
DICE is in February always, right?
Yeah, those awards always wait, but it's I think it's mostly just the Game Awards that blasted out in the
and also
a lot of
publication
editorial
stuff.
awards, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing I've been seeing is there's been a ton of just publication-specific Game of the Year awards.
Yeah,
a bunch of which have already come out within like several weeks ago. You know? Yeah. I don't know. I think it's dumb, but it's been a really good year for games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think Hitman is my favorite one. Like, not that I like ever sort of go out of my way to have a really specific Game of the Year, but man, I guess since I just sort of ended up sideways introducing this. I don't know.
Segment now,
like,
so
I just keep thinking about how much I like that game. I mean, in part because Nick, you and I were talking about it a bit yesterday, and just how well that development team has sort of learned what game they're making. You know, because I don't think either of us played Absolution, and I think at least
was that by the same crew more or less?
Yeah, it was the same team, right?
I mean, who knows? Who knows what the personnel changeover was? But it's the same studio.
Yeah.
I'm not
okay.
Up on
but like the one of the reasons I didn't play it, I mean, and this can't speak to the like actual quality of the play experience on a micro level, but like one of the reasons I didn't play it is because it just all the way it was being marketed looked so sort of repulsive and like self-serious and sort of a gross exploitative way. It just did not look appealing at all.
I feel like that was the era where like did the first Hitman film come out around then, and it was just all about like let's make this into a bloody
I think the second
franchise
Hitman film came out around then.
Okay,
the first
whatever.
Hitman film was like, remember? Well, it was like a long time ago. Weirdly,
maybe, yeah, but it still felt like kind of that zone where they were trying to pump it up into this big fucking AAA action bullshit thing, and now it's truly become what it's meant to be.
That aesthetic in general seems like it was more in at that time because that was when like Dexter was on TV, which is very different than Hitman, but it was the like clinical killing thing, but also everything is super gross. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas the new Hitman is so comfortable with itself and really hits the. I think
this new Hitman is just so comfortable with himself.
He is.
In his own suit.
He really is. His iconic suit.
In his own hairless skin.
It just really hits a good point on the gradient between like self-seriousness and silliness.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go too overboard with either. I mean, if anything, it like during the game, it trends more towards the silliness side, which if you have to err on one side, it's probably better to go in that direction when your actual game mechanics are so silly. I mean, that's the thing I think a lot of games don't ever come to terms with is like the break between how serious the game like
the idea of dressing up in a costume
inside
of a mission,
Yeah.
and then people
You're
not
like the
knowing what you
David
look like.
Spade, Master of Disguise.
The thing they must have realized is
basically.
like we may as well just make these costumes ridiculous because the whole conceit is ridiculous. So
is David Spade the Master of Disguise?
No,
I believe you mean Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey.
Oh, it's Dana Carvey.
Let's just
please.
Let's
he dresses up as David Spade in that film. So
does he really?
No, I don't know.
Okay,
I must admit I've never
he was a
actually
turtle.
seen the film The Master of Disguise. So
he
I don't.
dresses up as a turtle.
I don't know. I mean,
Which is truly
the only thing I remember
denotes the Master of Disguise.
The main thing I
when you
remember
can-
because that movie came out before Blockbuster died, and the main thing I remember about that movie was just seeing the guy in it dressed up as a fire hydrant somehow on the cover.
Yeah.
And it was one of those movies that was like, do you guys remember when you used to go to the video rental store? There were certain movies that you were never going to see, but you saw the cover. Saw them every single time. And like horror movies were a big...
Oh, yeah.
I remember seeing like the Hellraiser cover.
Sure, Leprechaun in space.
Leprechauns.
Like
Child's Play. Or
Child's Play. You'd
a
see
big
those
one for
all
me
the
was
time.
Empire of the Sun, weirdly, because that
the Spielberg movie.
Yeah, the poster of that is that like red sun.
Yeah,
with
it's
like
really
like a
striking.
plane cutting. It's so striking.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that, thinking like, this looks like a crazy horror film. I had no idea what it was because I was like 4 years old. But yeah. Blockbuster.
I've still never seen Empire of the Sun, but I had, because I was like a dork, obviously, growing up, when I was learning to play piano, I had a book of just John Williams, like film music arranged
themes for piano,
solo piano.
Yeah.
And Empire of the Sun was in there, and that was my first and to this day primary association with Empire of the Sun.
Nice.
I've heard it's a good movie though, so
yeah, it's good.
Did you get the piano arrangement of Jurassic Park that was just the like high melody line played by itself on piano? Did you get the?
No. This book predated the tinkly piano trailer.
Well, the
trend.
Jurassic Park score, in fact,
oh, that's true. It does in fact include the
yeah.
progenitor of piano film music.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it didn't have that actually. It just had the main theme all played. I loved playing the Jurassic Park theme on piano because I was like 9 or whatever, and I thought it was really cool.
The coolest shit. Yeah.
I loved playing it on saxophone.
Oh fuck!
Which
oh my
is truly
god!
the way it's meant to be heard.
Okay, here, Twitch Creative stream. You and me, Jurassic Park arranged for piano and saxophone.
That's got to be the second theme of Jurassic Park on sax. Has got to be the one that was enjoyable. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Young Nick
played
Brecken.
like an 8th grader, like a smarmy 8th grader.
I was like
grinning,
also,
just my mouth is just like curling up as I'm playing this stupid fucking
shattering
thing.
performance.
Yeah.
This is our games of 2016.
Welcome to GotY. That's GotY.cx.
This is the shittiest episode of this podcast that I think that we have ever recorded. This is out of control.
What are you talking about? It's our end of the year best games podcast, right? Right? We did it.
Jesus Christ! Welcome,
we like
new
the
listeners.
Hitman and the butt thing. In the what? Yeah. Anyway.
Well,
so what other games of 2016 did we enjoy? Cut to Jurassic Park on like melodica exploding, just trash.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, Planet Coaster clearly.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, Planet Coaster is great.
Yeah, I'm still playing the same park, so it's not even really worth talking more about because I've talked about it so much more recently. But I would like to actually make some real progress, like on a stream at some point soon. I haven't been streaming, and I've just been playing it myself more contemplatively. And I've kind of been using the fact that I'm not streaming to like procrastinate on actually building out the dark ride that I finally built the huge show building for, or whatever you call it. And so I've just been making more like terrain, landscaping fronts. It's just still just a really nice meditation, but that's about it. But nice. I love it. I love that they made that game, and I think it's really cool. That's another team that just feels like they know what they're doing. I like that they have two... I mean, maybe they have other stuff in development. I don't know. But I like that they have two seemingly core teams making ridiculously ambitious space game and, for its scale, ridiculously ambitious theme park designer game.
And what was the other studio that we were talking about that kind of has that mentality going on right now? Was it Avalanche? What was it with the...
Oh, yeah, Avalanche. Yeah.
Sean introduced us to theHunter.
Yeah.
Is it theHunter Call of the Wild? Is that the full name of that game that's like in early access? Or it's not even in early access. They just have trailers out for it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with this, Nick?
No. I've heard
it looks like a game that some subset of us could bizarrely get into, even though it's just a hunting game, because it seems to be taking a lot of the like the design tenets behind like Far Cry 2 style open world immersive stuff, except that you're just hunting animals with regular hunting weapons. I can't say that this is going to be thrilling for anyone, but I could see that it has the potential to be, where it is things like your movement speed matters, the amount of noise that you do matters, like sight lines and the way that light work seem to be important. Like the way you gear up before you leave seems to be important. And then there are little like lodges and towers you can climb up for sight lines for like planning what you're going to do.
That's
and
cool.
also it seems like it will have co-op in it.
Oh, nice.
It looks like a crazy triangulation of like hunting games as we know them, DayZ, and Far Cry 2.
Yeah.
Like if you watch the trailer, it's like a lot of the evocative elements from each of those things sort of are combined in a way that sounds weird when you say that, but you'd know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you just watch the trailer and watch the like pack of hunters kind of quietly move through the brush in sort of DayZ, you know, the way DayZ sort of enforces and encourages that kind of play because you have to be really, really cautious. But it looks like Far Cry 2. Like the sort of just environments and color palette and stuff really look like Far Cry 2. But the actual thing you're doing is hunting game instead of, you know, people,
it's
which is nice.
It's cool that this is going on at the same time as like the Just Cause series is going on as an example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's two studios under one roof, obviously sharing some degree of technology,
tech and stuff,
but for very different ends.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 3 also came out this year.
That's true.
I completely forgot.
That game taught you a lot about yourself.
Of just like the games of this year, it's a hardcore list.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff. But yeah, it was a good year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Super Hypercube came out this year.
Oh,
That's
man,
true.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not allowed to be my favorite game of this year, but it might be.
Why is it not allowed to be?
It could be.
I don't know. Super Hypercube is just a not super substantial game, but I really liked Super Hypercube.
It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, I'm still playing it. It's really good.
I like when I mean the most interesting game of the year lists are the ones that have stuff that isn't the same 5 ones you see on every other game of the year list, right?
Yeah.
Like, a game like Super Hypercube isn't going to ever be this unanimous pick across publications or people, but like it's a totally interesting thing.
Yeah, I know
to talk about.
It showed to me that even though the technology for VR is not there yet, like from a just sort of comfort and accessibility level, that there are things that you can do that use the like input output of a VR headset that actually feels unique to that and actually feels like it validates that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm not saying that as a case for VR as some sort of like dominant medium, but just like Super Hypercube is a super good puzzle game in its own right. Like it reminds me so much of like the Meteos days of the DS or of like playing Tetris for the first time on the Game Boy. And not a lot of games actually get to that level.
It's true.
Yeah. Most modern puzzle games are kind of insipid, honestly. Like most of the time it's sort of just an extension of Match 3 or something like that with the sort of just ever-present scourge, in my opinion, like of RPG elements, which I know some people like and I can't fault that. I understand why, but a lot of times I think that stuff is just kind of added because it's a really, 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 really easy way to just make stuff addictive and compelling.
Yep. And yes, Hypercube, the clean puzzle design in that game, plus it gets to some really base like simple things that are enjoyable about a 3D experience. Like literally the cube slotting into the bigger surface than you passing through it is so satisfying. This is a dumb thing to recall, but Jane Ang, who was the like 3D artist on Firewatch, did a GDC talk this year about the art pipeline on Firewatch, and she broke down one sequence of Firewatch, which is a canyon that you walk through, and about the flow from an art standpoint of what a player does when things are revealed. And my favorite part, where I was like, what is she going to say for this one part that's really boring and has no level design stuff? She's like, and then there's the arch, which is fun to walk under. Where it was like, first you're going to hop over a stream, then you're going to go around an S-curve, then you're going to walk under a rock arch. And I was like, oh, that's actually true. Like in real life and also in a video game, just going through an enclosed space is fun. And Super Hypercube is like the most outrageous version of that. Anyway.
Yeah.
What if that's actually how that game was originated.
That's like the Miyamoto version of that.
That is like Miyamoto version. Yeah.
You know, just like
Phil Fish had an experience walking through a canyon and walking under an arch, and he said, well,
it's like on family road trips when you go into the tree tunnel part on your drive out to like the spot that we always go. It was just my favorite part of that trip, and I wanted to encapsulate that in a game.
Right.
But what if it was inside of a sick VHS laser logo? What I loved about watching HBO in the 80s was when the laser beams would fly past the screen, and then the HBO logo would come up.
I remember that.
Oh, that's
yeah, that's
before
the,
like the current HBO logo. That's just the shitty static one and like the synth chord going wah. The old HBO.
God, they've had that for a long.
God, you've
time,
never
though,
seen
at
the
this
old,
point.
the old home box office,
office.
the old home box office logo.
Yeah.
Fucking hardcore.
Well, you're flying over a suburb.
You're flying over a suburb, and then
it's very like Back to the Future.
Yeah,
and,
it's like a residential version of the Miramax logo or something, and then just huge laser beams start taking over, and then you're trapped inside of this drum filled with like laser lights circling you. But then it turns out that you're inside of what looks like a 3D rendered version of the HBO logo. And then if you look at a behind-the-scenes version of this, it's actually amazing. It's like long exposure photography where there's swinging colored LEDs around an actual drum.
That's right.
And then there's just a chrome version of the logo that they filmed on a motion control rig. So like it looks like the most out-of-control expensive thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's like basically Mystery Science Theater 3000 opening credits or something, but like expensive.
Right.
It's wild. Anyway, Super Hypercube. This year was a year of me dipping my toe into a lot of games that, but liking all of them and then being annoyed that I didn't finish any of them.
Yeah.
Like
You finished Owlboy, didn't you?
I finished Owlboy, but like I didn't finish Doom. I didn't finish Super Hot. I didn't.
Yeah.
I've only barely played Planet Coaster.
And I really liked. I did finish Super Hot.
I didn't
really
finish
liked that
Hitman.
game. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Hitman, Nick, there's new elusive target, which
I've heard
is
of this. Yeah.
which is the fucking burglars from Home Alone.
The Wet Bandits. Is it a Christmas themed update?
I mean,
when you say it's
clearly.
the burglars, I mean, they didn't get the actual like voice actors, did they? Or did
I
they?
doubt it, but they're named what they're named.
Oh, they're like Harry and whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Like weird.
I think so.
What?
Huh?
What is the Hitman Home Alone?
Is
like,
it
are
the
they
same
trying
house?
to break
Did
in?
they just model the house?
I don't know.
No, it's an
'cause
elusive
they
target.
all take place in the existing.
Oh, right, of
missions,
course.
right?
Yeah.
So-
Okay. Yeah. Yes, it's a pre. Yeah.
Yeah. So here, well, let me see.
So then, what? Yeah. What? What is the?
It says, "Happy Holidays, 47. Your destination is Paris, France, and I must confess this is a bit of an odd one. It's actually written worse than I said. It says this one is a bit of an odd one, so I copy edited in real time for them. Your targets are Harry Smokey Bagnotto and Marv Slick Gonif, a pair of professional thieves currently breaking into the Palais de Walewska. Bagnotto and Gonif are American nationals living in Paris after a series of botched break-ins and related violent crimes forced them to leave their home country.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
We've been hired by a worldwide insurance agency to put an end to the activities of these holiday hoarders.
Wait, your job is to fucking two to the chest, one to the
Assassinate
head.
them, yeah.
The wacky burglars who tormented the McCallister family in
As
the
their activities
90s.
have
Your
proven to be
job,
quite
Kevin. I
costly
mean,
for our clients.
47.
This is the true lore. What happened to Kevin McCallister? Professional, like, theft deterrent.
Jeans
Just shades
spliced
Yeah, just
assassin.
yeah. He definitely. God.
Yeah.
He clearly
Just staring
he shaves
in the
his
mirror,
head,
just shaving
then
his
puts
head.
on the aftershave, and then screams. Agent 47, just puts puts the aftershave on the
Right.
top of his head, and then
Yeah.
why is that not the art for the elusive target?
He kills the elusive
Why
target
is-
and says, "Keep the change, you filthy animal."
All of this shit better be in this.
It better be in the
or
game.
they're dropping the
When
ball
you guys
big time.
first saw Home Alone, when you were kids,
Yeah.
did you understand why he was screaming when he put the aftershave
No.
on?
I asked my
No.
parents in the theater, and they explained it.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I also didn't because I didn't shave at the time.
Yeah.
And then when I was old enough to understand what that was, but not yet old enough to have a cause for aftershave myself, I then assumed, oh, it must just be that if you're a kid, it hurts because you're not old enough yet, but for adults, it doesn't hurt.
Right.
And then eventually I got old enough to realize, no, it just stings because it's a fucking astringent and it actually hurts.
Well, just wait until the sort of bespoke kill in this mission includes you dumping them into a vat of aftershave.
Oh my
or
god! If you,
something.
could if you could use your poison to poison the
Right,
aftershave,
yeah. Poison to aftershave.
That is so much
or like,
less interesting than all of the other things that they could put into this thing, which are like put the barbecue heater on the door handle.
It's a Hitman
right?
mission.
Yeah.
It should have all of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There should be like
release the
paint
tarantula
paint
into
cans.
the room. And
Yeah, just Activated distraction, Michael Jordan cardboard cutout. Like, all of these things could be. We haven't played this.
Yeah.
You know? For all we know, they went all out.
The best thing about this is
stage a dance party with a bunch of mannequins. That seems a little out of scope. Disguise yourself as one of the mannequins.
Heat doorknob.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
the thing about this is that if they have any or all of these things, because it's a Hitman mission, they will affect everyone equally. Well, unlike in the movie where they will they just magically it's a universe where they'll only ever harm the people they're intended to harm. But in Hitman, they will harm every fucking jackass who just walks through any door. Yeah. So you could
be the shittiest Kevin.
Yeah,
there's a problem with the toilet, and then just every person
he already is in that movie, which is considerably high of one.
Yeah, I feel like we fucked up by not looking at this content before recording this episode.
Well, we should. I mean, it's probably better that we didn't, because if all this shit isn't in the thing, then
that's true. But if I guess either way is fine.
Well, Nick, you and I should try and play it. How long do these last? A week?
God,
longer than that?
I don't know.
If the content is as good as we think it is, I can't see that they would only leave this up for a week.
If this is a Christmas,
well,
thing,
I just don't remember how. I haven't done
enough.
I haven't done enough elusive target stuff to actually even know what the
right.
It's got to run through Christmas if it's a Christmas thing. I would hope.
Well,
it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. You can say.
All right. Well, we should definitely try and play this and maybe try and stream it if we can hang out together.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let's do it.
Cool. Should we take a break?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Break time.
Break theme.
This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Omaha Steaks.
Cool.
Omaha Steaks will send to you in a very well refrigerated box all varieties of not just steaks, but meats of all sorts, and not just meats, but treats of all sorts.
Meats and treats.
Meats and treats of all sorts and kinds.
Can't beat it.
Yes. And in fact, if you go to omahasteaks.com, enter the code IDLE in the search bar. You just type in IDLE, just hit enter. The thing will pop up. You will get this crazy deal, a box that we have also sampled ourselves. For under $50, you get a preposterous panoply of I was hoping to say potables, but that's just for drinks. That's just for liquids, right? Water.
Potables.
Yeah. 2 filet mignon, 2 top sirloins, 2 boneless pork chops, 4 boneless chicken breasts, 4 kielbasa sausages, 4 burgers, 12 ounces of all beef meatballs, 4 of these potato au gratin little balls, 4 caramel apple tartlets. Those things are delicious. You get some steak seasoning, and then 4 more kielbasa sausages. So I could have just said 8 kielbasa sausages. All that for under $50. It's like a 70-something% discount with the offer code IDLE in that search bar at omahasteaks.com.
Yeah.
Nick, you and I had, as we've discussed, a full Omaha Steaks feast.
We had that dinner.
We had the filet mignon, we had the potatoes au gratin, we had the caramel apple tartlets. We just went all out.
Yeah. I snuck some of those tartlets before we had that dinner.
That's true. You had already pre-sampled them and confirmed.
I had to pre-sample that tartlet.
Yeah. They were good. I was really impressed by those.
Yeah.
We should do it again. We should have a holiday redux of that meal.
We should.
Yeah. If you go to omahasteaks.com, you can have a very similar meal to the one we had, or even a more ridiculous. You could incorporate even more elements
they have all
from
kinds
this
of crazy
box
stuff in there
into your meal. I mean, there's other stuff that they offer as well on their site that it goes beyond even what's in the box in terms of just other poultry, veal, lamb, pork, all kinds of other meats, all kinds of other stuff that is not even meats. It's I don't know. I could imagine this working really well as a gift for certain friends or family members because you really can just feed yourself for weeks.
Oh yeah,
off this thing. I just sort of have mine in the freezer, and before I go to work, I'll just defrost whatever element I'm going to want for that evening.
Yeah. Again,
that is omahasteaks.com. Enter IDLE into that search bar. Your deals will appear.
Deals.
omahasteaks.com. Offer code IDLE.
Sweet.
All right, I'm going to be right back.
Bye, Chris.
Bye, Chris.
Goodbye.
Boo Doo Boo podcast coming back from a podcast break.
Is that what we're doing? Are we back?
I think so. I guess we are.
Oh, hey, we're back.
Nick Brecken,
Hi.
you started playing Dark Souls 2.
I did. Well, I beat Dark Souls 1.
This is your year of Dark Souls. This is
Yeah.
appropriately your year of the Dark Soul.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm closing out 2016 in
year
the way
of the
that
Dark Soul.
in the
I
way
think we
that
can all agree.
it should have been.
Yeah.
And it feels right.
Yeah. So you in between the last podcast and this podcast, you completed Dark Souls 3. I mean, Dark Souls 1. You completed Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, so on the last podcast, I talked about how I had put on that stupid ring that was making it, like, doubly harder to beat anything.
Yeah.
And came back the next day, and it was still really, really difficult, but I ended up pulling it out and
so you beat Dark Souls 1 with
Dark Souls 1 with the stupid crazy ring on that made it really, really difficult.
That's really impressive.
It was hard.
Yeah, were people like
was
surprised by this? Like that can't be a very common way to beat Dark Souls, or is it? Is that like the way?
You're probably one of the only people in the ever who's done that, right? I mean,
if there's a thing you can do in Dark Souls, people have done it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, like this. I mean, think about like what is possible in Spelunky or something. Like people just eventually just do the hardcore one.
People were talking about this thing called SL1, which I didn't understand. They were like, "Oh, I'm going to try an SL1 run of this game," and I didn't quite understand what it means. But it's Souls level 1, meaning like a level 1 guy, right?
Just never level.
You just never level up.
Oh my god!
Which is kind of not entirely equivalent to what I was doing because my sword was sort of independent of my character stats, and so the fact that I had a cool sword was giving me a boost. But it was close. But apparently people do SL1 stuff all the time. Apparently it's just a thing in these games.
Yeah.
So I started playing Dark Souls 2.
That's not surprising. Yeah, I guess none of it should be surprising to me.
No. I started playing Dark Souls 2, and I was prepared for a really strange time because people were... The vibe around Dark Souls 2 is that it's sort of the strange, like, stepchild.
You always get that sense. Yeah, it wasn't directed by the director Miyazaki, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a different director, and I guess the production cycle was rushed. And
but it's also said to be a huge game.
Yeah, I'm getting that sense.
Yeah.
It's also just the actual structure of the game is very different in the sense that like there's a central hub, and then 4 big spokes. Or some number of spokes. I don't really know how accurate those Dark Souls like maps. If you've seen those,
I think they're very. Like,
I think they're pretty loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
But I haven't really figured out in my head, how many spokes there are. But it's certainly different than the other Souls games, which kind of there is a somewhat of a linear progression, but then you bounce back and go down different branches on that sort of main chain, right? Whereas this one has a very clear like. Almost MMO-inspired hub, it feels like, where everything is just nice and happy, and there's like a merchant over here, and it's like the sun is shining, and then you go out into hell and die a lot.
When Dark Souls 2 came out, it feels like the people who played Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 were not super into it. Like it feels it's a maligned entry in the Dark Souls series. Can you tell, has the existence of Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne and the passage of time changed that assessment at all, or like?
I talk about,
or is it just generally contentious among people now?
While I'm streaming these games, I'm always just like really curious to hear what people have to say about these particular things. And the thing that I've kind of determined, I think, is that your opinion of any of these games is heavily influenced on based on in which order you played them. I think that people.
So you being a Dark Souls 3 guy means that your opinion is real weird compared to.
And people are not happy about that because like the vast majority of the people who play these games probably started sometime
either
before
probably
3.
Demon Souls or Dark Souls.
3 is usually not the first game you played, and
Yeah.
so the fact that it was the first game that I played. And it's perceived as this like very refined but somewhat easier entry means that all of my quibbles about the earlier games are seen as sort of like blasphemous.
Yeah, but then you
just
beat
a
Dark Souls
fucking
1
baby.
with the ring, so fuck everyone.
Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you. You should stop into chat and tell them.
I'm just saying.
No, I love all of you. It's fine. But here's the thing.
Please like and subscribe.
Yeah, but Dark Souls 2, I think it's weird because I expected this maligned entry, and I just kind of rolled into it, and it just feels like more Dark Souls to me. Like I can't, like there's certainly like
I cannot believe that he's saying this.
There are certainly differences that are apparent.
Well, to your question about like has the sort of community judgment of this game softened or modulated with the passage of time, I think that's something that often happens, right? Like when the thing is new, it's every difference is shown into sharp relief.
Yeah,
whereas
now we have Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, so we have a collection of differences and a trajectory,
the more time that goes. Okay, so just for instance, like when Dark Souls 2 comes out, immediately after it comes out, the difference in time between when Dark Souls 2 came out, almost 0 time, and when Dark Souls 1 came out, multiple years, is really high. But the further into the future you get, the more they're both just games that came out several years ago. And the
Right.
difference between when they came out gets fuzzier and fuzzier.
Yeah.
And so they're both just things you look back at with hindsight and sort of the veil of memory, rather than like one is old and one is new, because now they're both old. Or if not old, at least they're both not brand new. And so
Yeah.
then they can sort of both be evaluated as like different points on the plane of Dark Souls, rather than the Dark Souls that I already internalized and the new Dark Souls.
Right.
And I think that often just happens with series in general. And like with some series, you know, the some just end up sort of canonized as bad forever, and that's just like sometimes that just happens. But with Dark Souls, more it seems like there are definitely people who feel that way, but it seems to me that they've all just ended up in this like tapestry of Dark Souls, and people appreciate the differences on balance more than
Right.
like explicitly castigating one as like the bad one.
I think it's actually that it's not. I don't think it's so much that people speak badly of Dark Souls 2. I think that Dark Souls 2 has a sort of following that believes it is the best Dark Souls
Right,
game,
yeah, that
and
also
that
happens.
drives the perception that there are
Yeah.
people who think it's so terrible. But I think
Yeah.
in reality, I think it's closer to to what you were saying, which is that like it's just a Dark Souls game. It's got there are differences, but I think at this point, most people are just accept it as like it's fine. Like it's more of the stuff. Like it's like
That's
it's
not entirely what I was saying necessarily.
Well, I know
but
it. I know.
sure,
It's
yeah.
It's fine. It's just more of the stuff.
well, I'm just a little. What I was expecting was a Mario 2 situation, which felt so drastically afield,
or Zelda 2,
or Zelda 2 even. But that is definitely not the case. It's just
or Metroid 2.
You beat some bosses, you
Pikmin
kill some
2.
dudes. It's
No.
It's not
yeah.
actually true of Pikmin 2 at all.
No, it's not.
Or Metroid 2 even, really.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's good. I'm enjoying it.
I think the thing that I actually was
way.
expecting, if you want to use Mario analogies, would be Super Mario Land versus Super Mario 1. Right?
Yeah.
But that's like where it's
Yeah.
just a different person made it. It kind of has the same feeling, but
it's a little.
But like you're saying that
wonky.
the passage of time seems to have sort of smoothed out those the for you at least playing Dark Souls 1 to 2
Yes.
and 2 back to back without being in it at the moment. They feel more similar than
And
different.
also having been primed by a totally different game that's neither of those.
Yes.
Is also interesting.
Yes.
Yep.
Also, speaking of Mario, you guys excited for Super Mario Run? Because I'm fucking excited about it, and it
Are
comes
you?
out like next week.
Are you
Yeah.
legit
I'm excited about it as well.
I'm legit excited about it. Are
Yeah.
you kidding?
I keep thinking this game's already out, and so I keep checking my phone every couple of weeks. Like,
I know,
because people are talking about
it's been
it,
announced so long ago. It
and
just doesn't happen.
I
with
never know what the hell's
phone
going
games,
on. Yeah,
really. Yeah,
But
no,
I am excited about it.
I read an interview with Miyamoto yesterday, and it wasn't an amazing interview, but there was some interesting stuff in it. Most notably, the fact that like this is not new knowledge. In fact, it's the opposite of new knowledge.
it comes out tomorrow, so by the time
Oh, shit!
So by the time people are listening to this as a podcast, it will be out.
Yeah, he's been working with the same core 3 other like creative leads for ever since the first Mario game. Like Koji Kondo and then 2 like other designers.
Yeah,
They've been working together.
crazy.
Yeah, for basically the entire Mario series, which is just that's really cool. That's a really amazing, weird, cool thing.
Yeah,
That is really cool.
And it sounds like they kind of just work on the stuff that Miyamoto thinks is going to be like a new or interesting thing to do with Mario, like Mario Run. Obviously, I mean, it's a simplification of Mario, but there's definitely a lot of interesting design challenges. And how do you take a series that has gotten increasingly complex and like both structurally and mechanically over the years, and then bring it down to a version that is even more simplified than the original Super Mario, not even the original Super Mario Brothers, but just like
Mario
the original,
Brothers?
just Mario Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really, well, on the player input side, more simple than that. Obviously,
Yeah.
behind the scenes is a lot more
Yeah.
complicated.
Doing crazy shit.
But I'm excited about it. Anyway,
Have we talked about the Mario or the I guess just Nintendo theme park stuff since that stuff was announced?
no, they released
because
a
we talked
concept
about
image
we
recently.
were just goofing about.
Oh, we talked.
about that
We
stuff.
vaguely
like,
talked about the fact that it had been announced what it was, but they put out that concept
They
art.
put up that- yeah.
It just looks like Planet Coaster art,
Yeah.
or rather, someone tweeted it to us and said this looks like it was made in Planet Coaster. It doesn't quite,
But it's a little more illustrated.
But it looks like someone's going to just make a Nintendo knockoff Planet Coaster Workshop shit in a minute, and you could build that whole theme park in Planet Coaster.
Yeah. Miyamoto actually also mentioned that in the interview. He basically,
that's why I brought it up.
Because he gets to sort of pick and choose, obviously, what he works on at this point, and he's like, he works on the stuff that's like new or weird ideas, like and the two things he mentioned were Super Mario Run and the theme park, which clearly is up his alley because he loves gardening and like physical design of things.
Yeah, he likes like when you walk under an arch.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really actually know anything about the theme park, so I don't really have anything to say about it.
I don't think much is known,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it seemed like it was going to use some kind of like I don't know, AR, VR, or something or other.
Oh, weird.
Just from the
Just AR, VR, something or other.
you know, whatever.
Well, it's in a Universal Studios, so it's gonna be a lot of projected and tech, and not a lot of actual full build out. Also, it's video game themed stuff, so it's gonna be
more of that.
like you know, the Toy Story ride at Disneyland is probably a good go-to example of like.
Yep.
There might be a vehicle, but then there's just a lot of computers running things.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's powered by an array of 300 Nintendo Switches.
It's powered by
Switch
PlayStation
cluster.
2s, capable of launching
running
nuclear
Linux.
missiles.
PlayStation 2 computer entertainment system. Yeah. The broadcast news story about that. A look inside Nintendo's theme park might surprise video game fans because it's not Nintendo's. It's a PlayStation.
A PlayStation 2, to be exact. Powered by the Emotion Engine.
Used by America's Air Force and third world dictatorships.
And Iran. Wasn't it like
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just say it was.
I have no seg into this at all, but I want to mention it really quickly, which is that
Go on.
I was up late one night last week, and stop it, Jake. And I was looking on my phone, and somebody had tweeted a link to a Twitch channel and said, "Oh, StarCraft is on," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Had loaded up StarCraft 2 the other day. I guess I'll see, what's going on, and I clicked on the link. And it was just StarCraft 1. And then I realized they're just broadcasting StarCraft. There's a new league now for StarCraft 1. Artosis was just commentating StarCraft 1. And this is the thing now. It's just now coming back. Yeah, it's Korean.
Korea?
Yeah.
Brood
it's just
War.
now a thing. Yeah, Brood War. And so I sat there and watched 30 minutes of a StarCraft 1 match for the first time in years.
Yeah.
And it was really weird.
I thought you were going to say they were rebroadcasting old stuff.
Oh, man.
No.
They could.
But this is like...
Yeah, no,
StarCraft 1 League.
Yeah.
Or is it a bunch of old guys? Is it old guys?
I mean,
is this like the Masters of StarCraft?
Well, yeah, like I think Flash was one of the guys, and he was a guy.
Oh
from
wow,
way
Flash
back.
is like.
Man, I had not thought about the fact that we could get into the equivalent of like the Masters
leagues. Yeah.
J-Dong.
Yeah, get J-Dong in there. Get bring back Boxer. Just,
Boxer, yeah.
Why not?
Oh man,
it was surreal.
Wow.
I have not much to say about it other than it was
still
watchable and actually in some ways pretty exciting.
Of the like collapsed StarCraft scene in Korea.
I mean, I tweeted it, Rob.
Brood War Rises
for like a second.
Yeah, did he have anything to say about it?
I mean, he had written. He wrote an article about all of this stuff because.
Of course, Rob Zachney just knew all about it and had already covered it in an article. Yeah, that's what he does.
It's weird. It's very strange. I mean, because the StarCraft 2 league is sort of in disarray, and so in the sort of wake of that,
what's funny
there's
about
been
that
this opportunity for StarCraft 1 to come back, which is
there's probably an entire generation in Korea of people who are now our age and who grew up watching Brood War.
Yeah,
like.
Oh no! There was a huge crowd for this
15 years ago.
Let me tell you something. We watched the GSL for StarCraft 2 at the beginning, and you could see the crowds there, and there were like 20, 30 people on any given day. The crowd for this StarCraft 1 match was like 100 people, and they were losing their shit. There was not a single empty seat. It was nuts. Like, I guess, they're just super into this game still, which is completely understandable because it may as well just be a sport that I don't think it ever really went away. I think there was always a StarCraft 1 thing, but now it's just...
there?
Yeah, I think so, but it was just sort of in retreat for a while, and now it's just like, well, I guess we may as well play this thing again. And it was good. It was fun to watch.
Just Artosis, no Tasteless?
I think
the crew back together.
No, I think he is. I think they're both they're both still doing stuff, but it just happened that he wasn't on
was doing that one.
It was weird.
And I gotta look into that.
It was really, really weird.
It's exciting.
Anyway, yeah, it actually is kind of cool. I'm fine with it. Anyway,
so I have one game to talk about that we haven't already, which is the This is a free game. You can get it on itch.io.
Oh, this is the game I was supposed to play but didn't.
Yeah, that's okay. It's called Catacombs of Solaris. And a reader recommended this via tweet, and I meant to check it out, and then I forgot. And then they replied Danielle and said, Danielle, you play itch games. Can you get Chris to play this? And then I said, oh, right, I meant to play this, and I downloaded it. It's free. I just downloaded it and played it. This game is a first-person, like, corridor exploration game. It just lasts forever. There's no goal. There's no ending. It's just a free thing that you just play as much as you want. There's no audio at all. It's just you just navigate through, sort of, I don't know, corridors that are just hallways. Mm-hmm. Like there's no like big rooms or like complex geometry. It's just hallways that you walk through with branches, right? So there's lots of
you could
turn left, turn right, like go straight, whatever. Like there's lots of, it's like a big endless labyrinth essentially. It is an endless labyrinth where the walls are textured with basically pixelated noise. So they're just brightly colored, random color pixel patterns,
like huge sort of stretched out pixels. Yeah,
stretched out, or I mean, the pixels are of varying scale.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but it's all just colored pixel noise. That's the entire, texturing of this world. And so it's really, really hard to explain why this is compelling. And in fact, the first time I played it, it wasn't. I had 3 play sessions of this game. And the first time I played it, I just went forward forever. I went forward, turned left, turned right, expecting to like find something or for something to happen, and nothing really happened except every once in a while a crazy physical effect, like a crazy visual effect occurred. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really understand what was triggering it and what exactly it was doing. It was like really just a trippy, like crazy effect. So I have never, other than caffeine, I have been lucky in my life to never deal with a substance addiction. So I don't really know, again, other than caffeine, which I don't really think counts, like never had to legitimately suffer like real addiction related symptoms. But I've definitely like felt the ability, like I have at points in my life been like, man, I could totally just become an alcoholic if I just let myself do that. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think I've ever been like close enough for it to be a problem. Like I'm not like a problem drinker, I don't think. But I've definitely like, I'm sure anyone who's like been pleasurably drunk has been like, God, this is just a really nice sensation. And it's like understandable why people could just fall into it and never come out. Right. Yeah. So I was playing this game and I played it the first time and I was like, I don't really get what is notable about this. There's like a wacky thing that happens sometimes and it looks cool, but that's about it. It just keeps going. And I turned it off. And then I'm like, it was just sort of in my brain. So I don't know, a few hours later, I loaded it back up again and I went into it and something about the way I was playing made the effect happen more often.
Okay.
And I was like, that's interesting. This is like, I really like when this happens. Like I really enjoy when this like occurs. And I'm like, it seems like it just sort of, it must be like placed in the world and certain areas like trigger it more often than others. And I started feeling this like compulsion. I'm like, I need that effect. I need that like thing to happen. It's like very pleasurable when it happens. And I just kept playing basically like wanting the hit of this
of the cool effect
on my eyes, because it was like it's sort of enveloping and you can sort of lose yourself in it. And
Chris, a corridor is actually just a long arch. So this is probably why you
That's true.
Didn't realize the
what is a corridor
just,
but an endless arch?
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, this is just so I just love when this thing happens. And eventually I'm just like, okay, I have other stuff to do just in my life. All right, I'll turn it off. And then I went back into it a third time, like however many minutes later. And then I realized what triggers the effect, and it is actually triggered by your behavior in the game. It's very simple, and you can do it at will. And I also realized visually what exactly is happening. Like I realized what is creating the effect and what it is doing. And then I probably spent a fucking hour in this game just giving myself hit after hit after hit after hit of the thing. You can effectively, once you understand
I feel
how
like
it
you
works,
should not explain to me
No,
because right now this is such a compelling, weird thing.
No, I'm not going to explain what actually happens, but I'm just going to say that like the way the effect, it's a screen space effect, so it affects everything on the screen, like
the whole game window.
Entirely, the whole game window, and it will layer upon, it will keep progressively adding to itself if you keep triggering it. And I found myself just diving further and further and further into this fractal-like world. And like the way it works, you can like come back out of the area that is affected by the effect before. And like I would find myself, if I saw the world becoming normal again, I'd be like, no. And I would turn back around into the like blanket of the effect and trigger it more.
What's the name of this game again?
Dark Souls.
Catacombs of Solaris.
Okay.
And it really started to feel like I just need this all the time. It was really weird. It was a very interesting experience, and I'm glad that I played it. But I just wanted to play it all the time for like this hour of my life.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's cool though.
So it's free, and it's called Catacombs of Solaris, and you can download it on itch.io.
Nice.
Or if you just search for Catacombs of Solaris, it's a very specific name. So you'll
Speaking of itch.io, that reminds me, last week we talked about Wizard Jam stuff, and a reader went and registered wizardjam.org. So now, if you go to wizardjam.org, it takes you to the most recent Wizard Jam. If you go to wizardjam.org/archive, it's a link to the itch pages and dev forums for every past Wizard Jam. Also, I made an Idle Thumbs itch account because I realized we didn't have one. So if you go to idlethumbs.itch.io, I made a collection that has every Wizard Jam game that's ever been posted on itch, so you can just like infinite scroll forever through what is, I think, almost 200 entries over the last 4 Wizard Jams, so it's pretty crazy stuff.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's really good.
Also, we talked about butts and cups a lot at the beginning of this episode, so we should probably not go too crazy on reader mail.
How are those things related?
We just
know that all the reader mail's about butts and...
Oh, I just mean that we just...
we're
out of time because of all that cup butt talk.
Mm-hmm. Joseph Morad writes, "Hey Thumbs, I wanted to say that several years and hundreds of episodes ago, a reader wrote in commenting on how often you say interesting and suggested you say magical instead.
That's true.
To this day, whenever one of you says interesting, I have a Pavlovian response wherein my brain just repeats whatever phrase was said, inserting magical where interesting once was.
So this conversation was probably very complicated for his brain.
I haven't yet decided if it's an improvement, but I'll let you know by episode 1000.
Okay.
So,
Jesus.
Yeah, imagine that.
I would suggest beautiful instead of magical, personally.
And then if someone says interesting, the word is beautiful, and if they say beautiful, you should replace that with even more beautiful.
Right.
That's true.
That's what I'm getting at.
Which then creates a recursive fractal because even more beautiful ends with the word beautiful.
Right.
Even more interesting.
Right.
Andrew Wright writes, "Hey Thumbs, when I was 10 or 11, my dad bought me a computer game called Search for the Titanic. I was super into the idea of deep sea diving and wreck discovery, and I couldn't wait to play the game." Do you know this game? Is that what you said, Jake?
Yeah, but I don't remember anything that's in it.
Okay.
This is like my Blockbuster story. Where I've seen that box before. I was compelled by it.
Ads for it in PC Gamer constantly.
Yeah.
Right. So he continues, I waded through some really complex simulation stuff, finding grants, etc., and eventually figured out how to get to a possible wreck site, though it took a ton of real-world time to get there. Then I sent down divers and waited and waited and waited. At some point, I realized that the game was operating in 1-to-1 real time, and I was going to have to sit and wait for the full multi-hour dive to complete to see if they found anything. I started a game before leaving for school, so they'd be done when I got back home, and they didn't find anything. And I couldn't understand why anyone would design such a dumb game, and I quit playing in frustration. On a whim, today I did a Google search, 25 years later, and I found that there is an Alt-W command that implements a time warp. To quote the article, without it, the game would be unplayable because of all the diving and exploring, which would in real time take hundreds of hours.
Oh my God. Well, if we ever find ourselves in a stupid place where we're going to do like a 72-hour live stream, we should just set up a PC that has a real-time Titanic dive happening.
And we can always flip back
to it. Yeah, you can just flip to it, yeah.
So he says, yep, that sounds about right. So my question, What video game have you quit in frustration only to find out later you had missed some basic shortcut, mode, mechanic, etc. that would have allowed you to enjoy it? Andrew Wright, Indianapolis, Indiana.
I've talked about this before. I've talked about the example of this for me in Monkey Island 2, I think, which was maybe the second real adventure game that I played. I did not know that you could leave the town, which was the first 3 screens for probably the first couple of days that I played that game. And
so you just thought there was something you had to achieve.
This game's smaller than I thought it was, and also it seems like this is like, am I waiting for someone to show up?
Right.
What the fuck is? You literally click to the left of the screen, and then it's revealed that you've only been playing 1/6 of the entire video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I'm sure I had countless examples of that as a kid. I mean, I think, I think probably some of the examples I remember playing, I can't remember if it was Sim Earth or Sim Life. It was one of those were both games, right? And I assume they were very different. But God, they were just so complicated that I remember I never got anywhere.
Yeah,
all.
just being totally wrecked by the opacity of I remember the Terminator 1 on PC was so fucking confusing to me. Yeah, that was.
I don't even know what that game is.
It was a land-based game, but it used an engine that was like a flight simulator, so it was sort of like early polygonal stuff where you were running around, and then it would just like tell me that something was happening to Reese, who was me, but I hadn't seen Terminator 1, and like that a Terminator was nearby, but it was just impossible. And I'm sure if you were fluent in that genre of games, that was at least maybe approachable. I don't even know what the consensus on Terminator 1 is.
Yeah.
But that was the game that just I did not understand, and I've never gone back and reassessed. But
right.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's actually a video game there.
Once the artificial intelligence knew that you didn't understand that, then it was fine. Moving on.
It's a test.
In confidence that it would eventually take over the world.
Yeah, that game came with a modem. It was weird that you had to plug that in.
Oh my god.
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, okay.
That was my dialing home to Skynet joke. See jokes? Terminator.
Yes. Gotcha.
Anyway, that's just because
See,
this example, the specific example of the reader mails is very good, though.
I mean, one thing I suspect is probably true for me. I don't know, Nick, if you suspect this is true for you as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if I had numerous occasions of this I don't know what I'm trying to say. Occurrences of this as a child, but to this day, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah.
And just thought that I had to do the thing for 8 million hours, or like it was just impossibly difficult, and that's just how it was. But because I didn't have the internet and didn't have many games to begin with, it's just, this is what I have. Like, I'm gonna do the thing because it's what I don't know any better on any, like, in any version of
I'm sure there was some strategy game where I just mined the shit out of a resource when I could have just built the building that would make that automatically happen or whatever, but like I don't have any memory of it now.
Yeah. I'm sure that's one of the reasons why I actually enjoy Dark Souls, because it gives me that feeling.
Except it's real.
Right.
Yeah, there are no shortcuts in Dark Souls.
Yeah. Well,
the choice to not put on the ring that halves your character's ability is a shortcut.
Yeah.
Daniel writes, "Hey Thumbs, I enjoyed your deep dive into what Mario says at the end of levels in New Super Mario Brothers.
Then you'll love the Wizard Jam entries Pizza Tonight and Pizza Tonight."
I'm really looking forward to the stream. We need to set a date for that.
Yeah, it'll be in January sometime.
Mid-January maybe?
Yeah.
Daniel writes, "Hi Thumbs." Okay, so I said that already. So I thought about that when I heard a similarly tough to decipher bit in a game I'm playing. The game is Lego Marvel Superheroes. I wrote in a while ago about Lego Jurassic World and voice acting in Lego games. I think you read the email on 2 different episodes. Word bad. In many or all Lego games, there's a secondary objective in each level to collect an arbitrary number of Lego studs, which are like bolts in Ratchet & Clank games. In Lego Marvel Superheroes, when you reach the target, Stan Lee triumphantly yells, "Excelsior!" It took me a long time to figure out what he was saying. For a while, I thought he was saying, "Take notes, señor." That's all. Thanks, Daniel Primo, Atlanta.
Take notes, señor.
This is Stan Lee's classic catchphrase.
Yeah,
Take notes, señor. I like that he thought it was take notes and not take note, because take note at least is like no, everyone look, whereas take notes is
he
just
meant
like,
open up your instruction
pay close
book,
attention,
and then go to the back page.
Oh yeah, go to the notes
and take notes.
God, I remember that's a thing I remember from as being a kid. PC games especially always had like 8 pages of just notes
with
in
little
the back
Stan
of
Lee
the
in the
instruction
corner.
manual.
Yes.
Take notes, señor. And that's why I always took notes.
Señor.
I never really learned how to take notes. I was a bad college student in part for that reason.
Me too.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Should
have listened to Stan Lee. I didn't.
Should have listened to those notes pages and all those video games us kids were playing.
Yeah.
The notes pages were there, but they never told us how to use them. We were never taught.
They assumed that as American children, we were consuming enough comic books to be familiar with the wise words of Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Well, should we call it?
Thanks for listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can write us email. We have a lot of email. I think we're going to end up having to bank an episode early at the end of the year because we're going to
have a New Year's mail blast.
So, yeah, probably have a New Year's mailbag. So
blast.
Bag blast. So
the New Year's blast bag, as we call it. Sponsored by the McDonald's mug.
Warmest greetings. So if you would like to send us email for that or any other episode, you can do so at questions@idlethumbs.net. We also have been streaming these episodes live to Twitch. If you go to our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/idlethumbs, you can watch it live. They also end up in a slightly cleaner version at youtube.com/idlevideos. That's true. And the YouTube versions are now embedded on the episode pages on idlethumbs.net. So if you have the episode page, it's a good way to share it with a friend or just use yourself as a base for. It's got the link to the SoundCloud episode. It's got the YouTube video version. It's got a link to subscribe via RSS or iTunes. Got everything you need. And we have plenty of other podcasts on our network as well, including Rob Zachney and Danielle Riendo's Idle Weekend, going up every week at idleweekend.net. The Idle Book Club, which hopefully within a week or so will be releasing an episode on Paul Beatty's The Sellout, which I'm reading now and is an absolutely like bananas dark satire about race in America. It is insane and ridiculous in a way that makes it not like difficult to read. It's just crazy. And yeah, I got plenty of other podcasts up on there as well. They're all at idlethumbs.net. Yeah. Nick Brecken's still streaming away at twitch.tv/idlethumbs.
Yep.
Still working through Dark Souls.
Still going.
I would like to stream something soon. Maybe this weekend we can try and stream that Hitman. Yeah. So keep an eye out for that. We should start using the announcement.
The calendar again? Yeah.
The Twitch notification thing.
You guys doing a Wet Bandits stream is very exciting to me.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So keep an eye out. You can also have the Twitch channel email you when we go live. All right. Thank you for listening or watching. We'll be back next week.
See you guys.
Bye.